Welcome back to The Watch, and George R.R. Martin says the obvious thing that many people have been saying for a long time, but Hollywood just doesn't seem to get it.
Yeah. Look, honestly, though, I do think it's a bit hypocritical of him to say.
Why?
Because he's talking about writers, yet he's not doing any. Finish the damn books!
But he is a talented writer in his own right.
Absolutely.
And if they just followed his source material more accurately, Game of Thrones wouldn't have ended like dog crap.
Yes. And
even though the last seasons weren't, written in the books.
If he had a bit more source material, then maybe...
That's true, but also House of the Dragon seems to be following the source material a bit closer. George is more involved, and wouldn't you know it, does pretty good.
Yep.
The best example, it doesn't follow the source material accurately, but they went in with the specific intent of reflecting the author's intent. Lord of the Rings, the Peter Jackson trilogy.
No, it's Game of Thrones. Not Lord of the Rings is by Tolkien. This is Martin.
Yeah, but I'm saying Lord of the Rings is a great example of an adapted work. But before we continue, do you notice what I'm wearing? This is the Shadiversity hoodie, and I think it's good that I'm wearing it next to Oz because look at how ragtag Oz is, and look how great this hoodie is. Also, I've been meaning to ask, why the hell are you just making it mismatched?
Oh, because it's missing so many buttons.
You could still try.
It's too
the
tight.
Top button is...
I have a big neck.
You look like such a hobo.
Well, I haven't showered in 3 days. No.
So avoid looking like a hobo and grab the official Shadiversity Brigandine hoodie because they're really cool and really high quality. Check them out. Link in the description. George says this, everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own. Yes, we've been pointing out this a lot. The biggest one we've been pointing out is Wheel of Time. Right there. Like, I got so pissed with Wheel of Time where the first, episode I was like, maybe.
When you still had hope.
I still had hope. Second episode got worse. Third episode got even worse. And I was like, fourth episode, I enjoyed. Fifth episode freaking jumped the shark. And what really pissed me about the fifth episode and then especially the sixth and stuff, that's when they divert very far from the source material. And they had a narrative. Rafe Judkins, the showrunner for Wheel of Time, was saying, we have to cut things from the book because we just can't fit it all in. The books are so big.
But we have to have gay.
We have to cut things, right? And then we get to the episode where it's all made up. It is just the writer and the showrunner, Rafe Judkins, getting off on themselves saying, I am a talented writer. I can write my own story in this universe and make it better. And especially because there's certain problematic things, I can make a more progressive story about a gay romance and all that sort of. Well, a character he's proposed with the option of being in a gay romance and then he commits suicide. Remember?
Yeah, I believe what we said was he disemboweled himself rather than facing being disemboweled. Which is very, that's a very creative thing you put there.
But still, that whole story with the water, right, wasn't in the books. They devoted an entire episode to it, right? And they had the gall to say we had to cut things because we didn't have enough room to fit it in. When they just...
Sounds like what the water committed suicide was said. He's going to cut things because he doesn't have room to fit it in.
Well, there was 2 waters already. I got so angry because the dishonesty about it. And it's clear. It was all indulgent. It was all like, I can do a better job. I need to inject my story so I can be seen as a talented writer, right? And we were calling it out. I got so, and so did Oz, got pissed off with it, right? Wheel of Time is probably the... best example of what George is describing here, and it's the best because it's the worst example, the most atrocious abomination of just stuff the source material, going to do our own thing. Of course, then you have Rings of Power.
Halo is worse.
Halo's
a bigger departure than Wheel of Time.
Yeah, look, there are so many examples of this, right? And so he continues, it does not seem to matter whether the source material is written by Stan Lee, Ian Fleming, Roald Dahl, Ursula K. Le Guin, J.R.R. Tolkien, Mark Twain, Jane Austen, or, well, anyone. And of course, we'll throw in Robert Jordan. Brandon Sanderson is working to try and get some stuff adapted, but he's trying to keep a lot of control. And that's one of the reasons why it's being delayed so much. And I was like, yes, Brandon, you like do not let, because as soon as you give away control, they're just gonna give them an inch, I'll take a mile. And the lies that they'll say, like you heard about the lies that they said to George Lucas about, we'll absolutely give real consideration to your screenplay for the future films, right?
Yeah.
Then as soon as they bought the thing, stuff, or they probably didn't even read it, right?
Yep.
They fed George so many lies to get that, and as soon as they got the power and control, they do not give a crap. And it's interesting that multiple things. There are, like, I've talked to people who have worked with Hollywood to try and get things adapted, right? And so many, this is a consistent experience that so many of these people have, is that they get promised something. And as soon as the power, they give away the power, those promises thrown out the window.
Yep.
Yep.
To quote a great man, a single cent is worth more than 1,000 promises. From these people, at least.
So
my promises are good for it, man. I swear.
As soon as they get the power, right, to control what's being made, they want to make their own thing. They want to make it. They need to change it for a modern audience. That's the phrasing right here. And it pisses me off so much. It's like, guess what? There are people today, a modern audience, that are friggin' loving these books just as much. My son, he started reading Lord of the Rings. He loves it. All right? These stories are still applicable to a modern audience. Maybe not an ultra woke, progressive, unhinged, audience. Maybe not theirs.
But that audience, if they're the modern audience, they don't like this crap either. Because where are they?
Either they don't watch it, or the reality, it's such a tiny friggin' minority, small group of people that even if they all go on board and love it, right? It's a drop in it doesn't do a thing to, move the needle. Like, there was so much desperate cope and defense for the Wheel of Time adaptation on like Reddit and places, right? Did it get viewed a lot though? No, right? It's because there is an echo chamber where there's a vocal minority in certain areas, right? On certain platforms that give the false idea that these people are much larger. But when it comes out, they fail because they're not a large group.
I'm struggling to even believe. Like, I know they're real people. I know that they actually exist. We can see them and hear them and they talk.
We can see their transformations, like before and after wokeness.
Yeah, but I literally can't believe their cognitive distance anymore. It's uncanny. My mind fails to actually make it look like reality to me. I can't.
I mean, I accept it and I'm almost used to it because tribalism, and as soon as people identify with a group or an ideology, all that matters is their side winning. And truth doesn't matter anymore. Oftentimes they come to that ideology not because of truth, but because of groupthink. You will get praised if you adopt this. And then they dive onto it, and then the sunken cost fallacy, they've already promoted pride. They can't admit that they're wrong. Also, the problem of being criticized by their peers and everything like that. And so that locks them into the ideology. Truth never really got them there, and truth will never dissuade them either.
I would rather be alone and hated by the world and not living something I knew to be a lie.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just do not value truth. And they've admitted, like the activists, right? They'll say, yeah, it's okay to lie if it pushes, I call it the agenda, but they're like the noble goals, right?
Yeah.
They've admitted, they've said it, right? Because the ends justify the means. They are willing to commit evil to achieve. Right? And so it doesn't matter if something is good, right? If it pushes the narrative and supports their ideology, they will protect it. And that's why you have those groups protecting Wheel of Time. It doesn't matter. They're not true fans. It bastardizes the source material. But because it pushed the narrative, they accept it. And that's the so-called modern audience, right? But it's not actually the modern audience. It's just the audience that love this stuff because it's great stories. Wheel of Time will be timeless. Lord of the Rings will be timeless. Same with Game of Thrones. All the great stories, right? Because they resonate with people across multiple generations. And the modern audience actually still loves it. When they say modern audience, they are saying the woke mob.
Yep, and it doesn't. It doesn't exist. The audience they're looking for doesn't exist because these people, who say they want these things in these forms of media, they move into a form of media that doesn't have it. It's all injected. It's all filled and bloated with all this crap that no one likes. It kills the thing, and they move on to the next one.
Well, I think there are some times when they do actually like it, but there's not enough of them to push the needle. But then there are times when they don't like the medium at all, like comic books, right? Where you see this woke crowd of coming into Marvel and stuff saying, "Oh, we need to make this for a modern audience," and then it'll appeal to a modern audience, and they want to target the female audience as well. And most women don't like; they're just not into superheroes. They're just not into comic books, right? And they changed it. So the original fan base doesn't like it, the new audience they're courting doesn't like it, and the women that liked it the way it was doesn't like it because now it's changed. And they've destroyed the comic book industry. So there is a point. There is a point where they change something so much where no one likes it anymore. Yeah. That modern audience isn't even there.
And they just move on to the next thing, and that's it. It's just about chasing the next prey.
George continues, no matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks they can do better, eager to take the story and improve on it. That's like George, thank you for coming to reality. Fine, we've been calling this out for ages, right? It's exactly what Rafe Judkins were doing. And it's such an insult, right? If these people were truly talented writers, like we're talking about as talented as the people who wrote these incredible epics, they would be able to write their own epics and just be just as popular,
but
just as successful, right?
They can't. They're literally parasites on human culture.
That's actually an interesting thing because they are trying to latch on to something that is beloved. They don't have the talent to do it themselves, right? But to get their message, but also to put their stamp on it, to say, this is my thing, right?
But instead of putting a stamp on it, they, like a mosquito, drain it of its fluid and then fly off to the next thing.
Yep, and they end up destroying it. And it's just the hubris.
Yep.
They think they can improve on something that is so beloved and so successful. If you are good enough to improve on something this good, you should be a friggin' master world-class writer already.
But they're not.
They're not.
They suck.
But they think they are, Oz.
I hate them.
I can't stand it.
I want them to stop.
I want them to stop as well. But they actually think they're that good. And it's like, if we just change it, not only to a modern audience, but with my story injected into it, they think they can actually do better. They thought they could do better with Wheel of Time. They think they can do better with Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power bastardization, right? And they thought they could do better than Halo. They thought they could do better than classic Indiana Jones. They thought they could do better than classic Star Wars, Oz.
But they can't.
They can't, because they're not talented, right? And if they were as good as these things, they'd be making their own stories, and they'd be successful already.
But they can't.
So, and improve on it. The book is the book. The film is the film, they will tell you, as if they were saying something profound.
Because to them it is. Because they're idiots.
What did they say about the Wheel of Time?
I don't know.
It's another turning of the wheel.
Oh.
So the wheel, that's how they just tried to justify that this isn't actually the real Wheel of Time. So the Wheel of Time has an aspect to its world building where time runs in a loop and will repeat itself. But sometimes when it repeats, it's a new turning of the wheel, there's a slight change. And there are alternate realities in the Wheel of Time. And sometimes characters get glimpses into the realities, but they establish there's actually millions of other realities in the Wheel of Time lore that sometimes the magic can actually connect to. That's how the portal stones work. That's how they essentially built the ways and exploring these other worlds and other things.
So what happened in this turn? The cartwheel went over like some dog crap on the road of time? Is that what happened?
Basically, I got so angry at that because that was them saying, we are legitimately going to tell a different story, and we know it, to the Wheel of Time story, but it's in the lore because it's another turning of the wheel. And it's like, hang on, we didn't want another turning of the wheel. We wanted a depiction of the same turning of the Wheel of Time.
More like a turding of the wheel.
Turding of the wheel, right? But legitimately, when George says, when they say the book is the book and the film is the film, Wheel of Time legitimately was doing that, was trying to hide it behind a world-building, distraction, basically. A bait and switch to say, so you can still think it's Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time lets us change this. It's like they didn't they knew. They wanted to do something different, purposely. But the fan base didn't want something different. They wanted a depiction of the same turning of the wheel. They want a depiction of the book. They don't want the film is the film. It's a separate thing, right? They want a depiction of the original stuff.
That's why I wanted a better Dune movie.
You know,
It was more faithful.
when this comes up, right, a lot of the defenders will always bring up the very, very few exceptions to the rule, where perhaps a adaptation that changed things from the source material ended up improving it slightly.
Yeah, like what?
The Shining. They always refer to The Shining.
I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie.
Yeah, the movie is critically acclaimed, beloved and everything. Big changes from the book. Okay? That is called the exception to the norm. For every one Shining, there's nearly 100 or more examples of people who thought they could change the source material and it just bombs and it's worse. And guess what? George, he says the same thing. He says, the book is the book, the film is the film, they will tell you, as if they were saying something profound. Then they make the story their own. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. And that's him kind of knowing there is the most rare exception like The Shining, right? But 99 times out of 1,000, 999 times out of 1,000, it always makes it worse. Bang on the money, George. Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you know why it's 900? Well, I feel like they should treat it as 100% of the time. Because here's the thing, right? It's the people saying, oh, no, but this time I can do it right.
But, and they think, like, The Shining did it, so that means I can do it. Like, if you were ever given the odds of, like, all right, make a bet. It is 999 to 1 that, you know, you actually be able to improve on the source material, because that's how often we see it in the real world. Would you make that? Would any sane person make that bet?
Depends on what I stand to lose and gain. If I stand to lose, you know, some clout on Twitter from fans, and I stand to gain from losing millions of dollars from writing this crap, then I'd do that. I'd ruin the thing. Because I'm an asshole.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of these writers that have bastardized the source material and everything, they just fail upwards.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood thinks, well, this creator, showrunner, or director, they do what we tell them to. So they want yes men. They are beloved by the woke mob, which have the platforms of power and influence at the moment, right? And so they just keep getting promoted and on to the next project, right? And and then they just go on to destroy more and more.
Yep.
All right. It's shocking how when we hear a property, something coming out, and we look at the writers like, that writer worked on this piece of dog crap, and now their work is like, gee, would you blame us to think that this is going to be dog crap when it comes out?
I think we would be morons if we didn't think that.
Yeah, like, it's just clear signs.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, good on George for coming on board and calling this crap out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'll change anything, but that is legitimate what's happening. More people need to be aware of it. And you can see the signs. This is why Rings of Power Season 2, it's going to be dog crap.
Just like Season 1.
Yeah, shocking.
It's going to have Tom Bombadil in it.
Yeah, and if Hollywood, they only get the message and understand, we love these properties. Make it like the original source material. These superhero movies, give us Captain America, give us Iron Man, like the classic comics that were so successful and so beloved.
And Hollywood's like, what? You want it gay with a chick in it? Okay.
And that's basically what they hear.
Yep.
And we'll continue calling them out on it, because that's what we do. Stay on watch.